Well, welcome back once again, everyone, to the VoV network, where great things are always happening. So, Mia and I are here once again, and we are flipping the script just a little bit on you guys, keep you off balance. So, I know our next thing that should be coming up is a live. However, based on some of the response and the feedback that we received from our last unscripted, we are actually going to do a VoV unscripted session today. Mina, you ready for that?
Yes, I am. Let's go.
Let's go. All right. So as we said, we're going to do another VOV unscripted where we're just going to throw a topic on the table and kind of go, hey, how do you feel about that? What are your impressions? What's been your experience? And wherever it takes us, unfiltered, unapologetic, and see what you folks out there have to share about it. And some of the feedback from the last one was excellent. And so let's keep it going. Let's keep moving along. So our topic for today is, do you want to enhance your friendships? So that seems pretty generic, but there's some pieces and parts to it when you really think about a friendship. What does that mean from a level standpoint? Is it just a acquaintance or a true friend or a dear friend, and maybe what all of that means, and then maybe what it takes to better or strengthen the friendships that you do have and the ones that you truly value. So I'm going to flip it over to Mina's side and let her kind of start us off with her perspective on why we're having this discussion and what the outcomes we'd like to see from it.
So, the idea came from me thinking about my friendships and being a better friend because this whole thing is about us cultivating better relationships and empowering people to have better relationships. So that includes family, friends, lovers, husbands, what, everything.
Mhm.
So I was thinking about my friendships and that I'd like to be a better friend, and I'm sure there's other people out there that would like to be better friends also.
Mhm.
So I wanted to just kind of open it up and talk about it and how we feel about it. That's
And
what,
that's an excellent point because friendships sometimes, or that's something we take for granted. A person's been a
right.
friend, especially if they've been a friend for a long time.
Yeah.
You might sometimes take them for granted. Um, One of the things I wanted to kind of bring into it very early on, of talking about being a friend to someone or having a friend or what that relationship itself is based in. And that is also asking the question, and I really just throwing this out there to our viewers so they can give some feedback, but also to you, Mina. Do you think that friendships are just something that's a natural gravity between two people and they just kind of gravitate towards each other and they become friends? Or do you feel like being a friend or being a good friend is a skill that you can actually develop and cultivate?
Mm. Well, I think maybe initially it's the gravitating towards one another. Maybe you have some things in common, and maybe you don't, but you just get along well. And I had a friend we just had some ways about us that were so great that we could even talk about that. Like we had a group of friends, but the two of us, we were really good together.
Mhm.
But I'm not always a good friend to her, and I'm sure she's not always to me either. So yeah, I think that you might have a friendship that you establish, and you think, "Oh, that's my best friend," but you could probably do better.
Mhm. Mhm.
Everyone can do better.
Right. And you can. And so that's what we wanted to kind of get into today is we throw that term out a lot.
Yeah,
Friendship. That's my BFF, right? That's my
yeah,
road dog, whatever side of the fence and
yeah.
whatever term you want to use. But what does that mean? And not only just what it does it mean, but what can you do to be even better and strengthen that particular relationship or bond that you have with those individuals that you call true friends that are
Yeah,
the closest to you.
yeah,
And so one of the things that I look at a lot when you talk about friendship that I think is a huge filter, something that, and that's trust, right? Because
trust.
that needs
Yeah,
to be somebody that you definitely have a lot of trust in. Because
Mhm.
typically your friends, they might be the ones who know where the skeletons are buried, and
Right.
some of those intimate secrets and those types of things, because you need a confidant that you
Yeah.
can share those types of things with. So having a strong level of trust, I think, is an important thing, uh, which in some ways ties back to our previous session when we were talking about and unfiltered about lies, right? Your
Yeah.
friends, the
That's
true friend, is the person should never lie to you. And like you were saying, they
yes.
they should be the one. And you even made the comment about that person don't have friends, because if they had
Right.
some friends,
They
the
would tell
friends
them.
would have told them, right? So,
Mhm.
what do you think about trust and how that plays into
Oh,
friendships?
I think it's important because most people need someone to talk to at some point when they're having issues or just even just being alone and wanting to communicate with someone. So that friend, you might have intimate things you want to talk about, but you can't if you don't trust them. So you're just going to stay on the surface level and just talk about anything with someone, but you're not going to go deep in unless you trust them.
Yeah.
And I can remember a friend I had that this is an example, a great example. Um, it was me learning really what a true friend was at this time. I was in San Diego, and my friend would tell me straight up what she thought. She didn't hide anything, didn't, straight up.
Hmm.
And an incident had happened at this one organization we were at. And the person talked about me and other people, whatever, whatever. But she came straight to me and said, I don't really know you as well now. We were hanging out, but we weren't really as tight. And she said, but this is what happened. And I want you to know this. I don't know why she said these things to me, but this is, and I was just like, oh my goodness. And that's where our friendship really became a true friendship. And we even got closer. We're still friends today. We don't talk every day, and I wish I was a better friend and talked to her more often.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
that woman is still, I know she's got my back
Right.
always.
Right,
Yeah,
right, right, right. And it's funny you say that about having your back, because I think that's one of the things about a true friend.
yeah,
Um, they will be there in that moment that you need them
yeah,
without question, right?
yeah,
No matter what stupid thing you did,
yeah.
uh,
Even when you're
I wrecked the
wrong.
car, or I had a little too much to drink, and they got to come pick you up at 2 a.m. and right, because
Yeah,
been there, done that, right? Got the T-shirt, and the other friend's gonna grumble
yeah,
and probably give you a little bit of grief because you
yeah,
earned it, right?
yeah,
But they will still be there to do
yeah.
that for you, and that I think that's one of the gauges, and a
Mhm.
good way to judge who's a true friend and who isn't. Because
Yeah,
there are some people that you may think are your friend, and in that moment you call them, and
yeah,
it's 2 or 3 a.m. And hey, I really need X, and they're
yeah,
like, dude, sorry,
yeah,
whatever the excuse may be.
yeah,
And then there's that two or three that you have that where I got to be, and that's the only question that they really have. They'll
yeah,
sort it all out later. The main thing is when and where do I need to get to, and let me get moving.
yeah. I help you.
Yeah.
Or like that friend that say you're in a relationship and you do your man wrong, or you have an argument with your man and you think you're right, but you talk to your friend and they're like, girl, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
That's not right.
Right.
You really need to apologize because
Yeah.
that friend, and I'm fortunate. I have about four of those friends that I know will tell me the truth and support me at the same time, but will tell me, girl, you're wrong. You need to think about that. You need to look back over that, and so I like having those kind of friends because sometimes if you're just in your head and you only got yourself to rely on and what you think, you might be a little off. So it's good to have that friend that you can trust and bounce some things off of. And I have about, like I said, four of them.
Yeah. No.
And and two of them are very loyal to you and I in this business.
Yes, which is awesome, right?
Yep,
Because
yep,
that's a sign of friendship. Because
yep, yep.
um, some of the other things that come into play when you talk about, and again, that's what the question I posed initially was: is it a natural thing, or is it a skill that can be developed? And
Mhm.
there is a belief that yes, there's certain people that your personalities, your gravity in the world just brings you together, right? And
Mhm.
you have that bond. It's almost as if maybe you knew each other in a previous life, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Because you just have that chemistry and that bond. So there
Yeah.
are going to be some like that, but then others, yeah, it might take a little bit more work and a little bit more
Yeah.
effort to cultivate that friendship and make it a little bit stronger.
Mhm.
And that's another thing that you can do in that process is obviously support that individual, because that your person who's your friend may have goals and
Right.
objectives and different things they're
Yes.
trying to accomplish,
Yes.
right?
Big time.
So be the person that pats them on the back,
Right.
encourages them,
Right.
inspires them to
Right.
try to achieve those
Right.
things.
Right.
As you just said about the friends that you have, that we
Mhm.
know we're doing out here, what we're doing, putting ourselves on the line every day,
Yes.
um, with our venture here with VoV, and they're supporting you in that
Yep.
journey, and that's an important thing.
Mhm. Yeah. One of them is our cheerleader, the other one is the, you know
Yeah,
you know,
you might want to try
the
this instead.
gentle critic,
Yeah,
but we'll honestly say, and the other one, she's just our cheerleader, like, go for it, and she's always been that cheerleader person, but she still will say, hey, when you're wrong, you're wrong. And
wrong, right.
having that kind of friend is just, it's invaluable.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Mhm.
So that's technically part of the side where you can help cultivate the friend
Right.
or be a better friend by
Right.
supporting their different goals and objectives. Also from the standpoint of showing gratitude, because that's
Mhm.
another thing I think we overlook a
Yeah.
lot with our
Yeah.
friends, right?
Mhm.
Is the fact that yes, they did get up at 3 a.m. and come and rescue us from whatever stupidity we might have done,
Yeah.
that we needed to be assistance with,
Right.
and showing the gratitude, showing appreciation
Yeah.
for that person being there for you
Right.
year over year, and don't take it for granted, which is what
Right.
I mentioned at the very beginning.
Right. So I think part of that too is remaining in contact. Like, I know for me, traveling and being and living far away from friends, and it's important to keep that contact, whether it's online. They have other, not just Facebook and Instagram. There's like this, what is it called? Oh, geez, I forgot the name of it. But anyway, there's this app where you can get online and you can just talk and you can have several friends on there. But
Hmm.
I think you just house party. But I think you just have to just remain in contact with the people that are important to you, those friends especially, because you want them to know that you appreciate them and tell them you love them and whatever. That's very important.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Show some gratitude for it, and
Yeah.
then the other side of that coin too is, um, as I kind of mentioned a little bit ago, you have they're like your confidant, right? So there's a
Right.
lot that you may share,
Right.
and it all ties back to trust,
Right.
because from that standpoint of keeping the secret, whatever it might be,
Mhm.
and it's not that you're trying to hide anything and be deceptive,
Yeah.
but that's the whole point of having that person there that you can unload,
Right.
get it off your shoulders, and
Mhm.
know that they're not going to turn right around and go, girl,
Yeah.
let me tell you, I was with Mina and she told me this, she told me that, right? And then so now
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
you or
Yeah.
whatever is in the street, right?
Yeah, you're right.
And you've probably been there.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. I've been there. I've been there. One of the things that, what do you call it, grinds my gears is when, like, you might have a friend that is just your best little friend, and but at the same time, I think that also that confidant also applies when it comes to that friend's significant other or spouse or whatever. I just
Tell
don't
tell me more. Let's talk about that one,
I
because that's
just
a good
don't
one.
think, like, if, say you and I were a couple,
Hmm.
and my friend, one of my close friends, came to me and told me some stuff, some juicy stuff, or not even so juicy, or just what's going on with her, right?
Hmm.
She doesn't want me to discuss those things, even if they're the simple things, with you.
Hmm.
It's between me and her. And even if it's simple, who she's talking to, what she's doing. She does, it's her private business, and she doesn't want that to go on to the spouse, the
Hmm.
significant other, or whoever. But a lot of friends don't understand that, and because I can tell you, me being single, I've had many friends that have been married. It's just because, when you have a child, you end up getting with friends that have kids, and I can tell you, couples don't always respect that. Like, I've found things out from guys about other guys when I've been in bigger groups.
Hmm.
So yeah, and friends don't expect that. You're their
Yeah,
confidant. You're their confidant. You
you're the
keep that. You
confidant.
don't. It doesn't apply to your spouse.
But so you're saying it should apply to your spouse, though. So in
It
other
doesn't
words,
apply
yeah,
to your spouse. You
it
don't
doesn't.
tell the spouse. The
You
spouse
don't
is
tell the spouse,
not the
right?
best friend.
Right.
The spouse is just somebody that's yours. That's yours. That's your best friend.
That's your best
Talk
friend,
about
right?
you with that person. Tell
Right.
your stuff with him
And that
or her.
you rung a bell with me when you were talking about that, because that is so true. Because and a lot of us are guilty of that. I mean, yes, your spouse is in your relationship with your significant other. That is your confidant within the
Yeah.
that relationship. But if
Yes.
you have a friend, their business, what they share with you,
Yeah.
is not part of your other intimate relationship, right? So it shouldn't be shared
Hmm.
with the spouse. And I know a lot of us feel like, well, I'm in a relationship, I trust that person, so I feel like I should be able to tell them anything, and they hold it in confidence, right?
Yeah.
But that breaks the bond, I think,
Yeah.
between you and the friend, because there is a level of understanding and commitment in that friendship that I
Yeah.
think by you sharing it, even though it is your significant other
Yeah.
that you're sharing it to, that
Hmm.
actually breaks that bond. So I'm gonna pose that question to everyone out there,
What did
and
they
as we
think?
talked about, let's get some feedback and let's get some comments. So I'd love to get your perspective on. Do you feel that you should be able to tell your spouse any and everything about your friends and what they might share and these different things, or should that be something that's held in confidence, between just you and the friend? Great question. Tell
Yeah.
us what you think.
But I can tell you something. If you're the spouse and you got that information, you should have enough sense not to come back to that person that told their confident their information and speak it. You shouldn't be come you should if you they didn't speak it with you as a spouse, then you shouldn't be talking about it with them, because then they're at least at least they can have the thought that that word didn't go anywhere but with that one person. I know it's not reality, but if you come up to that person and you're speaking it, oh, they're uncomfortable because they didn't tell you. You
Hmm.
you weren't supposed to be in that. Don't do it. Don't just don't
Just don't do it. Yeah,
don't do
and
it.
don't do it. And that's an important part, right? Of
Yeah.
I mean, if you do choose to share with your spouse, the spouse or significant other needs to understand that that
Yeah.
is where it should stop, right?
Yeah. Don't ever speak it. It's part of the confidence. You shouldn't be getting it, but if you did, don't say nothing. Not
Uh,
even to the person.
So true. So true. So again, that's part of, as we're looking at here today, saying, being a better friend, and is it something that you can
Yeah.
um, develop or cultivate as a skill? And so I would think this is one of the ways you can absolutely
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
I think another part of it too is, when you're spending time together, don't just, like, we're hanging out, we're friends, but be
Mhm.
present. Actually, be there in the moment with the person, establishing new boundaries and new experiences together, things that are unique to that time that you have together. I think it's
Mhm.
important,
Mhm.
because again, that's the whole taking them for granted, or
Right.
not truly being there for them or engaged in the moment. So I think that's important too, is that the
Mhm.
being in the moment with them.
Appreciating that moment with them and not picking up your phone and surfing, and when they're talking to you, you're off either whatever, and it's something easy to do. You could have a squirrel go by, and you start talking about something else, and but they were trying to tell you what was going on with them, and it's like you didn't care,
Right.
but you did.
But you did.
Sure you did.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so be there with them.
So true.
So
I think a lot of us are guilty with that. So I want to do a quick segue, because one of the things that It's a personal challenge for me in some ways, just because of the whole concept behind it. I'm not judging that it's wrong or right. I'm really asking a
Mhm.
question, and that's regarding social media in the
Mm.
standpoint of friends. How many friends do you have, and blah blah blah. Because
Mhm.
I think that's part of, in some ways, how a lot of our closer friendships have gotten watered down,
Yeah.
right? Because the term friend has now
Mhm.
become this kind of social generic thing. Because obviously, if you have 5,000 friends on Facebook, there's no way you're going to be all of the things that we just talked about with
Yeah.
5,000 different people. You don't have the time, right? It just can't be done. But so, can we really qualify those as friends or friendships? So,
Those are Facebook friends. Those are friend friends. I mean, some of them are true friends. Like you really know, you know them in person. You've seen them,
right,
you
that is
know,
true.
and
That is
then
true.
the rest are Facebook friends. But I've made with the direct sales. There's a couple people, well, more than a couple, but that I have truly like, yeah, it's online because we're not in the same state, right? We haven't met in person, but we've had a lot of conversations. We've talked on the phone and done the online thing, and they've become friends. Like we can talk about, like, especially one, I can talk
Hmm.
about anything with her, anything,
Hmm.
and same with her to with me. So I have developed some friendships that are real, like they're not just online. But yeah, so I could say that
Yeah,
you
and,
could
and
do
and and I'm not saying that social media, that you don't have true friends there, or that you can't develop
that.
closer friendships from
Good.
people from that standpoint. But to say that they are the same level or caliber of friend
Mhm.
as your closest girlfriend or boyfriend or
Yeah,
whatever it might be, it's a whole different
yeah,
level, right?
yeah,
Because the true interactions and the things we were just talking about,
yeah.
about are you supporting their goals, are you there in the moment with them,
Mhm.
if can they reach out to you at 2 a.m. when they need help
Mhm.
or support, and would you be there, and
Yeah,
those kinds of
yeah,
things.
yeah.
uh, and then
I mean,
obviously the platform itself is not really geared toward sharing a lot of personal stuff, because a lot of it can be public too, right?
right.
So
Mhm.
you have to be cautious with that. You were gonna say something there. Go for it.
And while we're on the subject of that, we talked about this in one of our um, scripted, I remember, but I don't remember which one. But the whole texting and online type of friendships, relationships, yeah, it's just not um, effective. You do have to take the time to pick up a phone or do a video chat, or you have to get that connection. You can't do it all by typing
Right.
because there's going to be misunderstandings, and you can't hear the inflection of someone's voice, or
Right.
you don't really know what they mean.
Yeah. And we were gonna do a separate video at one point talking about is text a not want to say legitimate, but a good form of
Yeah,
communication
yeah.
for a true relationship, or to
Mhm.
manage or maintain or build a relationship. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, we are.
So I think that we've already brought it up. We put it on the table. I think we should kind of dive into it a little bit here,
Yeah.
because we can, when we do the other video, we can probably just make that video about communication and relationships in general. Text will be one of the many forms of
Yeah.
communication that I think is important. But that point you did bring up, though, we did discuss that, and we were talking about how, when we were texting, especially using text message,
Mhm.
that you lose so much of the true
Yeah.
communication piece of it, because you don't have the emotion that's tied to it. You,
Mhm.
you obviously don't see the person, so there may be some body language associated with it,
Mhm.
um, inflection, many other things that are just not
Right.
there in the flat word on a screen, right?
Yeah.
And then how that then gets misinterpreted
Mhm.
can be huge. just
Yeah.
miscommunications. So whether that, and obviously we're talking specific to friendships today, but in any relationship, text messaging can be very, very dangerous from
Yes.
that standpoint,
Yes.
especially if it's the primary or only real form of
Oh,
communication.
right, right.
And then to have an extended conversation in that way, I
Mhm.
mean, hours of back and forth through,
Mhm.
page long text messages.
Mhm.
And this is the question I'm asking: is that
Mhm.
an acceptable form of communication? And whether it's friendships, relationships, obviously you're typing on a phone.
Mhm.
You probably have that person's phone number.
Yeah.
Um, why not just
Yeah.
make a
Pick
phone
up the
call?
phone.
Pick up the phone.
Mhm.
I mean, well, you don't have to pick it up; it's in your hand already because
Oh, that's true.
you're
That's true.
typing on
You're
it, right?
texting. Unless
Just
you're talking, but
push
still,
a
it's in your
different
hand.
push a different button, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And communicate, because I think from a building and cultivating friendship standpoint,
Yeah.
that's actually going to go a long way in
Yeah.
credibility, trust, um, showing that you are present and in the moment, right? That because if I can text with someone and watch the game and it's like, yeah, whatever, and then I'm back to watching the game and yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
you but you because you are there, but you're not present.
Yeah.
Um, so I do think that taking that extra step to make the phone call, to say, hey, you know what? How about we meet for coffee, right? And take just that moment of a slice of time out of your day, out of your life,
Yeah.
to be there and be face to face and engage with the person that, again, you're saying this is one of your best friends. So
Right.
someone who matters to you. Uh, what do you think about that?
I agree. I agree with that. I do know that there are a lot of people though these days that actually that's their preferred form of communication, and it can be difficult and challenging if you are one of those people that actually like to have the communication on the phone or in face to face. It's difficult, and I think things have really changed with the texting age and the on emails and being able to do all those things now. When we didn't have them, we didn't have a problem with people picking up the phone or being in person.
So then that brings us back to our magic word too,
Right.
confrontation, right?
Ah, yes.
Right.
Yeah, it does.
Because a text message is less confrontational
Yeah.
than even
We
a phone call.
talked about that. We
Huh?
talked about, I remember we talked about an individual not wanting to, yeah, to avoiding the confrontation or avoiding the difficult conversation or, you know, yeah, texting was easier. Yeah, we talked about that. I
I mean,
remember.
it's like break up with someone by a text message. I
Yeah.
mean, sorry, this relationship's not working for me. Send.
Ah,
It's like,
don't talk to me anymore.
is
You
that
know what though? It's not, but it's not even, it doesn't even have to be that severe. I mean, it could be just they don't like to talk on the phone.
true? I mean, obviously there are people who maybe that's not their preferred
Mhm.
means of communication.
Mhm.
Uh, so then that's why I said, well, let's meet for coffee then, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Mhm.
there's got to be a better way to,
It has to be.
I guess, personalize it more, because if the,
Mhm.
if the relationship or that
Right.
individual
Mhm.
matters to you, then you
Mhm.
should be able to do just that. Figure
Right.
out a time and a place and a space to have more of an interaction and
Yeah.
a personal connection with them. So
That's
that's
true.
kind of that's my perspective. And again, for everyone out there, give us some feedback. What are your thoughts on um, making time for the people that matter to you in those ways, other than just a text message here, a text message there, but
Yeah.
physically, whether it's a phone call or and technology. And Amina and I had to have a little bit of a difference of perspective when we talk about things like FaceTime, right? Because FaceTime does give you the face and you can see them and see some of the maybe emotions and different things that are
Yeah.
on their face, and maybe even some body language, right? So that helps. But
Yeah.
is that a, I mean, yes, COVID has changed our world, but is that a true substitute for true meeting in person, face to face interaction? We'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are on how important you think that is. Whether FaceTime is good, text messages, I'm fine
Yeah.
with that too,
Yeah.
or if you really believe that uh, building a friendship, supporting a friendship, continuing to cultivate friendships requires that you do spend some quote QT, as we say, the
Yeah.
quality time with the individual.
We actually agree on FaceTime.
Yeah, I know
Actually,
it's not one of your
it's an
favorites.
option. It's not my. I don't. I mean, if you pop up and you FaceTime me or you do a messenger video with me, you might find me any kind of way because I'll be by myself. I could be hello, and it has happened. Trust me, it has happened.
Yep,
So I'm not crazy about it, but I'm getting a little better about it because my daughter communicates with me that way. So it makes it a I have to be ready for her calls, but
right.
it happens.
It happens, yeah, and I'm the same. I won't say I don't use the FaceTimes that kind of thing. I'm actually an Android guy, so I don't FaceTime anyway. But I don't, if it's scheduled, yeah,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
do
that's
it at X time, blah blah blah. Then that's absolutely fine. But just as a means of that's how you reach out to me,
don't do it.
you're down the wrong road. And then what were we talking about? Because there was a conversation we were having where I was saying that a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it was, and she always FaceTimed him.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't remember what we were talking about, but you told me about that.
Yes.
Yeah,
So this is a story. So this is a situation, a couple, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, and they're in their relationship, and for whatever the reasons and whatever the dynamics that in their relationship, whenever she would reach out to him, she wouldn't text, she wouldn't make a phone call, she would actually FaceTime. Primarily, I guess, to see if he was where he said he was, because obviously, if you say, oh, I'm at the mall, right, and in a text message, he has no way to know if that is where you are or not. But if she FaceTimes you and you're obviously the background, you're in the sports bar, which is not where you're supposed to be, um, there's a problem. So, from a FaceTiming standpoint, that kind of thing, is that mistrust? Is that, well, what's the motivation behind feeling like you can just drop in on someone essentially in that particular way? So that's a question for the our audience too. How do you feel about that? Is it, you okay? Just FaceTime me anytime, drop in on me. It's uh, not an issue, or you kind of no, definitely do not do that. So we'd
depends
be
on who it
curious to
is.
hear some of your comments and thoughts on that as well.
It definitely depends on who it is, though, too.
It does, and like we had the session on boundaries, and
Yeah,
I think that's when we talked about that. Maybe it's a boundary that is or is not set with
yeah,
that particular person. So
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we don't know as far as that goes. But the whole text messaging, uh, w- that whole phenomena, social media, that's the way you communicate. And I mean, and I get it. Certain people say, well, just send me a DM, right, on
Yeah,
social media, and that is how they communicate, that kind of thing.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
But that's for quick stuff. Yeah, it's
right,
not for full
right,
conversation. Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. If you're coordinating or meeting here, or how about this?
yeah,
Yeah, totally get it. And
yeah,
support it 1,000%. But to have a long, drawn out, 1 hour long conversation,
yeah.
I just don't see it as the way. So
You're gonna miss stuff. It's gonna happen. You're
you're
gonna
gonna
miss
miss it.
stuff
You're
or
gonna
misunderstand
Yep.
and think you know and you don't know. But I would say that about that though, if you feel like, which you probably do, you want to have that in person or telephone. You need to speak up and let the person know that that's what you need. Or if you're the guilty party, then you need to consider that because you're probably not giving your friend what they need. And right now, it's really hard during COVID
Hmm.
during this pandemic to make that happen. But that's why I mentioned video because, if you can't be with them, you sure can
Yeah.
video.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's discussed some of my friends and I, especially when we were kind of in the whole lockdown thing, we did like a virtual happy hour,
Yeah,
we sat around our respective places and
yeah,
sat
did
on
that.
a Zoom
Yeah,
call or whatever
it's
and
fun.
talked and shared a beer, even though we weren't in the same room. So
Yeah,
perfect. But those are the times, and that's what we're talking about taking that extra step to cultivate and appreciate
yeah,
those types of friendships because
yeah,
things have shifted in our world from that
yeah,
standpoint. So maybe even just having the conversation with those that are closest to you that you consider to be friends, ask the question, how are you doing? Because
yeah,
sometimes people hold it close, right?
yeah.
They don't just come outright and share maybe what's really going on,
Right.
feeling like maybe it's going to be a burden or that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So, but sometimes you have to ask that question and be that friend that kind of opens the door and gives them an opportunity to step through it and share what's on their mind. And that's important too, I think.
right. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, they could be struggling, especially during this time,
Yeah.
with just their situation. Never mind uh, food and money and all that, but just being alone, or even the opposite, having all the you at home with your
Hmm.
spouse and kids all the time. It
Hmm.
could be that too. So yeah, I think yeah, you got to check in on those friends.
Agreed. I absolutely
Yeah.
agree. So, what are your final thoughts on this, Mina?
A better friend. I think that we gave some good information and some about us really, because these unscripted, they might start off with a concept, but really they're about what we think. What we think and our experiences.
What?
But
Who gave you an opinion? Stop.
but it gives people stuff to think about, right?
Right. That's
And
true.
things they can do to better their relationship. So this is why we do it. And so,
Yeah, and it's
um,
true. I mean, we don't have all the answers. We're not really here to even try to say we can solve all problems or give you all the
yeah,
answers.
no,
But what we do want to do is kind of maybe make you a little bit more aware,
yeah,
and share some just general things that we think can help across the board with how you go about managing your relationships. Again,
yeah,
of all types, because we were talking about friendships and we really didn't get into it. Um, and I wanted to dive back on it just before we wrap up a little bit too, is there is that work friendship,
yeah.
which can be different from your personal friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Because and one of the terms that's out there and been used for a long time is this is my work husband or my work wife, because they're right. Some people have been working together for such a long time, right, that they almost have this yin and yang thing going
Yeah,
of how they work off of each other because they know
yeah,
each other so well.
yeah,
Uh, So that's an interesting dynamic in friendship too, because they might not have ever gotten together on the weekend for a barbecue, but have
okay,
worked together for 15 years. So they do have a very close relationship. And how that differs from, your true BFF that you hang out at the beach with every
mm-hmm.
every chance you get, which is a whole different type of friendship, from personal versus business, but they are still deep relationships that you have to maybe apply some of these same things to keep them strong and continue to cultivate them.
Yeah. I don't play that. Honestly, when it comes to work wife, work husband, uh, if I had a husband or a boyfriend even, and he's at work and he got a work wife or somebody playing to be work wife, or she called him her work husband, I don't play that. I don't even want to go into that, right? Don't do it. We are co-workers. We work well together. So I myself am not going to be anybody's work wife because I don't want it to happen on the other side.
Fair enough. That's good insight.
I don't play that. Ain't no
Listen
work
to
wife,
me now.
work husband here.
All right, no,
You
that
got
no,
one wife. I got
I
one
I
husband.
think we found another one of Mina's boundaries. So Um,
Like the lies. Yep,
how
that's a
about you
limit.
pose that question to the group?
Do you play work wife and work husband? What do you think about it?
Okay, give her some feedback on that because I think that's going to be interesting because it's a very common thing.
Am I
And
being too rigid?
no, you just being mean, but that's a whole another story.
I'm never going to change that. I don't care what y'all say, but I do want to hear it.
No, we do want to hear, yeah. And and again, it's not about changing as much
I
as it
like it.
is about understanding and respecting the differences because
Yeah.
different people obviously march to the beat of a different drummer, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And so it's good to have the exchange where we can
Yeah.
share different ideas and different perspectives because the whole point, even what we're doing right now, is maybe we'll share something that you never even just thought of
Yeah.
in that particular way, and it might shed some different light or maybe change your perspective on it. So
Yeah.
give us some comments, give us the feedback. It matters to us and
Yeah.
to everybody in our VOV family because the more that we can share, the more it's going to help everyone that's involved.
It matters, except I'm not changing. Not that one.
Man,
But I
so
do. I'm curious. I am curious. I do want to hear what people
so
have to
we're
say.
back to what we were on the last
Black.
session about the shades of gray versus black and white. So now
Oh,
we know
black
where
and
Mina
white.
is.
Oh,
Black and white.
black and white on that. Black and white.
There's no gray on
Yep.
that one. Okay,
I
fair
admit it.
enough.
I admit it.
Well, that's all I think we kind of have for this session. Hopefully, you found some
Absolutely.
value in what we shared today. Really wanted to just get in and give you some ideas and some thoughts about friendships, how to continue to maintain and cultivate them, keep them strong, especially as Mina talked about with the challenges that we're facing in the world today, and how some of us are feeling kind of stuck in a silo and separated. So it's important that we do some of these things. You know, be engaging, be present, show gratitude and appreciation for your
Yes.
friends that are out there. I think all of those things matter,
Mhm.
and that all it's going to do is, and it also brings you back to that old saying about sometimes you got to give to get, right?
Yes.
So be giving in your friendships, and it'll come back to you tenfold normally. So
Hmm. Agreed.
agreed. I
Yeah.
mean, what's it? What's your last things before we
Um,
wrap up?
I like to request that you all like our video if you're on Facebook, but please also go out to YouTube and subscribe. I want to grow that part of our business. I want people to just subscribe. Please subscribe. Thank you. And thank you so much for supporting us, especially the friends and family that are always there. We love you. Thank you so much.
Yep. And that was part of the motivation for even doing this session is the gratitude that we wanted to show for the friends and family, especially as of late, as we've really put ourselves out there and they've been so supportive, and we
Yeah.
greatly appreciate
Yeah.
them and every last one of you that has joined
Yeah.
the VOV family in some way, and we hope to continue to grow it. Day after day, week after week, month after month. Because again, it's not about me and I; it's about everybody out there. And this is our way of giving back.
Yep.
So that's what matters. So we're going to wrap up for today. Again, we will be posting this particular session on Saturday in place of our live, actually. So this will go online on Facebook as well as on YouTube this Saturday morning with 9 a.m. Hawaiian time. That'll be noon Pacific. So look for it then. And as usual, we'll also be taking the audio from this and dropping it into a podcast. And you can find that podcast on all of the normal podcast outlets: Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify. Uh, so we look forward to seeing you there, seeing all of your comments. We definitely do read them, and we absolutely will be responding. And I'm kind of interested to hear uh, what some people have to say about friendships and Mina's no shades of gray over there. So it's going to definitely be interesting.
That's right.
That's right.
But check out the podcast because you get to hear our beautiful voices. It's real crisp and you might enjoy that. But I know the video's wonderful. We want you to do all that, but if you can't catch it and you got to catch it on the fly, maybe you're at work and you can't do the video, go on and catch us on podcast. VoV
Absolutely.
Network.
And of
Yep,
course, YouTube is there anytime, all the time. The videos are
yep,
posted, and you can watch them anytime there as well.
yep.
Well, that's going to do it for us. Again, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode. That will actually probably be coming out on next week, Tuesday, and it will also
Okay.
be an unscripted.
Yep.
We haven't chosen a title just yet, but we'll put some promos out there to let you know what the next unscripted is going to be about also. So for me, thank you very much. Mina, what would you like to share?
Thank you. Appreciate you so much.
Absolutely. Take care and much aloha. And until
Bye.
next time, bye now.
Take care.